Commander Vex-Noth adjusted his sensory appendages with what could only be described as smug satisfaction. The tactical display before him showed Earth's surface scarred with precision strikes, each one a testament to the Korvani Empire's technological superiority. Or so he thought. Sir, his subordinate, Lieutenant Kilmar, approached with hesitant steps. The Psychological Warfare Division reports complete success. The human settlement designated Millbrook has been eliminated. Vex-Noth's mandibles clicked in amusement. Excellent. Nothing breaks a species' spirit quite like watching their precious little communities burn. These humans will surrender within the solar cycle, mark my words. Oh, how spectacularly wrong he was. Deep in the smoking ruins of what was once Millbrook, a figure emerged from a collapsed farmhouse. Maya Torres coughed, spitting ash and debris from her mouth. Her grandmother's house, where she'd spent countless summers learning to fix tractors and jury-rig electronics, was now nothing more than twisted metal and memories, but Maya wasn't crying. She was calculating. The 24-year-old mechanical engineering graduate had been home for exactly 3 days when the sky lit up with alien fire. Now, as she stood amid the wreckage that had claimed everyone she'd ever loved, her grief was transforming into something far more dangerous, cold, methodical fury. You picked the wrong farm, girl, she whispered to the retreating alien ships, her voice carrying a promise that would have chilled Vex-Noth's exoskeleton, had he been listening. Back aboard the Korvani flagship, the commander was busy congratulating himself. You see, Kilmar, lesser species always respond predictably to overwhelming force. They cower, they negotiate, they submit. It's basic psychology. Indeed, sir, Kilmar replied, though something in his sensor readings was bothering him. Though I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from several human population centers. Vex-Noth waved a dismissive claw. Probably their primitive communication networks failing. Pay it no mind. If only he had. Maya spent the first week scavenging. Not for food or water, though she found plenty of that, but for components. Every burned-out vehicle, every destroyed electronic store, every shattered smartphone became raw material for her growing obsession. The aliens had made one crucial error in their psychological assessment. They assumed humans would break when faced with loss. They hadn't considered that some humans, when everything they love is taken away, don't break at all. They become something else entirely. Let's see, Maya muttered, working by candlelight in an abandoned auto shop. If these bastards can fly between stars, they've got to have some serious power sources. And if they're using energy weapons. She paused, examining a fragment of alien metal she'd recovered from the attack site. Then they're broadcasting their technological signatures every time they fire. Her fingers moved with practiced precision, combining salvaged smartphone processors with automotive electronics and anything else she could find. The device taking shape on her workbench looked like something between a radio and a nightmare, but it had a very specific purpose. 3 days later, as Korvani forces continued their mopping-up operations, Maya's contraption came to life with a soft electronic hum. Got you, she breathed, watching alien communication frequencies scroll across her improvised display. Commander Vex-Noth was enjoying what the humans quaintly called coffee when his communications officer burst onto the bridge. Sir. We're receiving transmissions from the surface. Surrender already? Vex-Noth chuckled. I told you they wouldn't last long. No sir, it's different. Single source, human female. She's broadcasting on our primary tactical frequency. The commander's amusement faded. That's impossible. Human technology is centuries behind ours. Shall I put it through, sir? Vex-Noth's mandibles twitched with irritation. Fine. Let's hear what this primitive has to say. The voice that filled the bridge was young, female, and absolutely fearless. Hello there, you genocidal space roaches. My name is Maya Torres, and you just made the biggest mistake of your pathetically long lives. Kilmar's sensors nearly overloaded from his commander's sudden spike in bioelectric activity. You see, Maya continued, her voice carrying across the void with crystal clarity, "My grandmother used to tell me stories about my great-great-grandfather. He was a bit of a troublemaker during something we called World War II. Turns out, making things explode runs in the family." Vex-Noth found his voice. "Human, you are addressing the Supreme Commander of the Korvani Third Fleet. Your world is forfeit. Surrender now and your death will be swift." Maya's laughter was like ice water in the commander's veins. "Oh, you sweet summer child. You think this is about surrender? This isn't a negotiation. This is me letting you know that I've spent the last 10 days reverse engineering your technology from the scraps you left behind when you murdered my family." "Impossible!" Vex-Noth snapped. "Our technology is beyond human comprehension." "Really?" Maya's voice carried a smile that would have been perfectly at home on a shark. "Then explain how I'm currently tracking the quantum signatures of every ship in your fleet. Or how I've mapped your communication networks. Or how I know that your flagship, which you so cleverly call the Inevitable Conquest, has a rather interesting vulnerability in its reactor shielding." The bridge fell silent except for the increasingly frantic beeping of sensor alarms. "You're bluffing," Vex-Noth said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Am I? Tell me, Commander, do you know what happens when someone takes a basic understanding of nuclear physics, adds some creative agricultural chemistry, and throws in just a touch of that good old human spite?" Kilmar was frantically checking his readings. "Sir, I'm detecting massive energy buildups at 17 locations across the planet's surface." Maya's voice turned conversational, almost friendly. "See, here's the thing about humans that your fancy psychological profiles missed. We don't just get mad when you hurt us. We get creative. And honey, you just gave a mechanical engineer with a very specific set of skills absolutely nothing left to lose. What do you want?" Vex-Noth demanded. "Oh, I thought that was obvious," Maya replied. "I want revenge. And unlike you aliens with your careful tactical strikes and psychological warfare, I don't really care about collateral damage anymore. You taught me that." The sensor alarms were now screaming. Kilmar's voice cracked as he reported, "Sir, the energy signatures are off the charts. Whatever she's built, it's operating on principles I don't recognize." Maya's final words carried the weight of absolute certainty. "You came to my world thinking you were the apex predators. Time to learn why humans are the only species stupid enough to split atoms for fun. See you in hell, Commander." The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Commander Vex-Noth stared at the now quiet communications console, his superior intellect finally grasping the magnitude of his miscalculation. They hadn't broken humanity's spirit. They had simply removed all the moral restraints that kept human ingenuity pointed in safe directions, and somewhere on the planet below, Maya Torres was putting the finishing touches on 17 devices that would have made her great-great-grandfather very, very proud. The 17 simultaneous detonations across Earth's surface were visible from orbit. Commander Vex-Noth watched his tactical display with the kind of frozen horror usually reserved for witnessing natural disasters. Except this wasn't natural at all. "Status report," he barked, though his voice cracked like old ceramic. Lieutenant Kilmar's sensory organs were practically vibrating with panic. "Sir, the explosions have created localized electromagnetic pulses. Our surface monitoring stations are going dark one by one." But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what came next. From each blast site, pillars of superheated plasma rose into the atmosphere, carrying with them something that made every sensor on the Korvani fleet scream warnings: concentrated radioactive material, weaponized and aimed directly at the sky. "She turned her planet into a giant shotgun," Vex-Noth whispered in disbelief. Maya's voice crackled back through their communications, now somehow stronger than before. "Surprise! Did you really think I was just going to build regular bombs? How terribly unimaginative of you. You maniac!" Vex-Noth roared. "You've irradiated your own world." Her laughter was pure venom. "Oh, Commander, you still don't get it, do you? This isn't my world anymore. You took care of that when you turned my family into ash. This is just the delivery system. Kilmar's reading spiked again. Sir. The plasma columns are reaching the upper atmosphere. They're carrying massive amounts of debris. Debris that's about to become your problem, Maya added cheerfully. See, I spent some quality time studying those lovely ship fragments you left behind. Turns out, your shields work great against energy weapons and kinetic projectiles. But they're not so hot against good old-fashioned radioactive dust clouds traveling at 17,000 miles per hour. The first impact hit the destroyer, the Eternal Dominance, like a cosmic sandblaster. Its shields flickered, overloaded, and died as billions of microscopic radioactive particles tore through its hull plating. Evasive maneuvers. Vex-Noth screamed, but it was too late. Maya hadn't just created explosions, she had created a spreading cloud of death that was now expanding throughout the entire orbital zone. You see, boys, Maya's voice continued with the casual tone of someone explaining a recipe. My great-great-grandfather had a saying, if you can't fight fair, fight dirty. If you can't fight dirty, fight smart. If you can't fight smart, just make everything around you explode until the problem goes away. Another Korvani ship, the cruiser, Inevitable Victory, began listing as its reactor containment failed. The radioactive cloud was eating through their technology like acid through tissue paper. Vex-Noth finally found his voice. This is madness. You've doomed your entire species. Wrong again, space bug, Maya replied. I've doomed yours. That's when the second phase began. From her underground bunker, built in the 3 days between her warning and the activation of her doomsday devices, Maya watched through jury-rigged cameras as her plan unfolded with beautiful, terrible precision. The radioactive cloud wasn't just attacking the ships, it was being drawn to them, attracted by the very energy signatures that powered their advanced technology. You know what the funny thing is, she mused into her transmitter. You could have just left us alone. Earth's got plenty of room. We might have even traded with you, shared some technology, made friends. But no, you had to go with the whole, genocide first, ask questions later approach. Lieutenant Kilmar was openly panicking now. Sir. The cloud is following our energy emissions. It's actively hunting our ships. That's because it's not just radioactive material, Maya explained helpfully. I may have added some of those lovely self-replicating nanobots I found in your wreckage. Turns out, when you combine human creativity with alien technology and a really bad attitude, you get some interesting results. Vex-Noth felt something he had never experienced in his 300 years of conquest, genuine fear. What have you done? I've created a self-sustaining, self-replicating, technology-seeking swarm of microscopic death. It feeds on the same quantum frequencies your ships use for power. The more advanced your tech, the tastier you look to my little pets. The flagship shuddered as the cloud began to envelope it. Warning lights bathed the bridge in emergency red as system after system started failing. But here's the best part, Maya continued, and Vex-Noth could practically hear her grin. It's also a beacon. A beacon for what? He whispered. Oh, you'll see. Turns out, when you carpet bomb a planet, you miss some things. Like the deep space monitoring stations. And the quantum communicators. And the really, really angry humans who've been waiting 17 years for someone stupid enough to attack Earth directly. New contacts appeared on the Korvani sensors. Ships were emerging from hyperspace, but these weren't the primitive vessels Vex-Noth expected. These were warships, human warships, and they moved with the deadly grace of apex predators. Meet the Colonial Defense Fleet, Maya announced. They've been out there for nearly 2 decades, spreading across the galaxy, setting up colonies, making friends, learning new tricks. Funny thing about humans, Commander, we're social creatures. We make allies. The first human ship that opened fire wasn't alone. Energy beams lanced out from vessels bearing the markings of a dozen different species, all united by a single principle: nobody attacks Earth and lives to tell about it. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the UES Retribution," a new voice cut through the communications. "Maya, we got your message. Sorry we're late to the party." Maya's voice brightened considerably. "Better late than never. I saved you some aliens." Vex-Noth watched his mighty fleet dissolve under the combined assault of human weapons and alien technology wielded by species he had never even heard of. Ships that should have been centuries ahead of human capability were being torn apart by coordinated strikes from creatures that had been nothing but primitives in his intelligence reports. "How?" he gasped. Captain Vasquez answered. "You want to know the difference between your empire and humanity, alien? You conquer. We befriend. You destroy. We adapt. You came here expecting to find a primitive, isolated world. Instead, you found the homeworld of the galaxy's most prolific species of alliance builders." Maya's laughter rang through the chaos. "Did you really think we'd just sit on one planet for our entire existence? We've been spreading across the galaxy for 20 years, and everywhere we go, we find people who value the same things we do: freedom, cooperation, and really good coffee." The inevitable conquest was now listing badly, its mighty engine sputtering as Maya's nanobotic plague consumed its power systems. Vex-Noth realized with growing horror that his flagship was dying, strangled by technology that shouldn't exist, created by a species that should have been extinct. "Last chance, Commander," Maya called out. "Surrender now, and maybe some of your people get to live long enough to explain to your superiors why attacking humanity was the dumbest decision in galactic history." Around the crippled Korvani fleet, human and allied ships moved with predatory patience. They weren't in a hurry. They had nowhere else to be. Vex-Noth looked at his ruined fleet, his dying ship, and the growing cloud of microscopic death that was still spreading through space, seeking new targets. In the distance, he could see more human ships arriving, each one carrying weapons and allies that his intelligence networks had somehow completely missed. "I surrender," he whispered. "What was that?" Maya asked sweetly. "I couldn't hear you over the sound of your empire collapsing." "I surrender," Vex-Noth shouted. "We surrender." "There we go," Maya said with satisfaction. "See how easy that was? Now, let's talk about reparations. I'm thinking you start with rebuilding Millbrook, and then we discuss exactly how your empire is going to make amends to every species you've ever conquered. Because here's the thing about humans, Commander, we don't just make friends with each other." As Korvani life pods began ejecting from dying ships, picked up by human vessels with almost casual efficiency, Vex-Noth finally understood the true scope of his miscalculation. They hadn't attacked a primitive world. They had attacked the emotional and spiritual center of an interstellar alliance that spanned half the galaxy, and Maya Torres, the farm girl from Millbrook who had turned grief into the galaxy's most terrifying weapon, was just getting started. "Welcome to the human era, Commander," she said. "I think you're going to find us very educational."